Okay, guys, I'm gonna teach this a little bit more from the fixed wing perspective. There's a lot of things that can be shared between fixed wing and helos, but when you have a big, huge background in fixed wing, it kind of makes the transition a little bit difficult sometimes. So there's lots of videos out there that really go way more in depth into this, but I'm going to give you a few basic tips that can get your mind in the right area for you to absorb all those other videos. So first, I want to talk about the two main things, your collective here and then your cyclic. For fixed wing guys, we always want to think throttle, which of course that's going to give you more propulsion. And we do have a throttle in helicopters, and that's here your twist throttle. But mainly with the throttle, you're going to kind of set that and forget it. So set and forget on your throttle. If you're carrying loads, you're obviously going to need to throttle up or down. If you're carrying lots of heavy ordnance, troops, and or lots of fuel, you're going to need to throttle up a little bit more sometimes. But the vast majority of times, you're going to just leave the throttle alone, kind of leave it, to the neutral position. And so our thrust is really going to be coming from the collective here. But for you fixed wing guys, I want you to think of the collective. Think of this more as your pitch, your prop pitch. It's biting more air or it's biting less air. And that's going to make things a lot more easy for our brains to understand. Then, so you have the collective and then you have the cyclic, which this is just kind of controlling your big fan blade on top. This is tilting it left, tilting it right, tilting it forward, tilting it back, or anywhere in between. So this obviously controls a lot of our flight stuff, but it's actually not nearly as important as your collective and of course your rudder down here. So that's what I just want you to do in this whole episode, is think about your collective as your pitch, your prop pitch, because that's going to make your brain, your fixed wing brain, is going to understand this a lot better. Now, the things to look out for, first and foremost, is your RPM. Now, not many videos are going to talk about your RPM. And right here, the Huey makes it super easy because it shows you the green area. Like, keep it in the green. You go too much, it drops down into yellow. You don't want it in the yellow or lower because that drops your speed down of your propeller, which of course means you have very, very few options. It's not going to give you a lot of lift when the propeller slows down. When the blades slow down. So you want to make sure that is always in the green. There will be some cases that you're not going to want to do this, but when you're kind of falling, you're kind of stalling, trying to land or something or do a hover, the first thing you want to do is go full collective and bite more air. But the problem with that is if your rotor speed is down, all that's going to do is basically ensure you're going to crash, because it's going to slow your rotor down, and then you're going to run out of enough propulsion and you'll just fall out of the air. But in most of the time, to give yourself as many options as possible, if you will do the opposite of that in your brain, if you got enough height, what you'll do is, instead of pushing more collective, you're actually going to pull collective and get that rotor speed back up into that green. If you can do that, that right there will get you out of the situation you're in. That will keep you from via stalling out in so many situations. So that is something right here that you are just going to be staring at so much of your time. The other thing, of course, a lot of videos go over this, and this is very important, vertical speed. In pretty much any helicopter, if you're landing, you never want to go above 5. And honestly, just don't ever go above 2.5. Like, if you just want to be safe and you want to hit your landings every time, just don't go above 2.5 on your descent. So the main things you're going to be watching when you're doing landings are obviously vertical speed. That's very important. Keep an eye on that. But then also keep glancing at that, man. If you see that fall into the yellow, dude, you're in trouble. And if you're in trouble like that and it's in the yellow, you're probably going to have to nose in, start moving, get more air under your blades so that you can stop stalling. So that's just that. As a rotor, as a fixed wing guy, I just want you to realize in helicopters, the two main things that are important is rotor speed and vertical speed. Those are what you're going to constantly have to teach yourself how to be watching and monitor. Now, the other thing too, and you've seen lots of videos that talk about this, but one thing I want to add is in the Huey, say, look up over here in our top left corner where that little red box is. When you're taking off, you want your stick about there, not here. That's neutral. But you want your blades at an angle where the helicopter is neutral. With all of the different forces on this body, and the rear rotor moving us constantly to one side, you got to be fighting it a little bit. So you put it over here, and then you can adjust your rudder to wherever you need. So that way when you take off, you can easily take off. Now we're keeping our speed up on our rotor, you know, and we're good to go. But if we're going to land, see, we kind of keep upper left there, we keep that stick in that same position as we come down to land. And that was one of the things that I never knew and nobody ever explained. And if you can kind of keep your brain going, hey man, I need to keep it there when I'm landing, then look, you can have just a wonderful little touchdown. No big deal. So yeah, so kick a little left rudder, keep it in that spot there, take off nice and smooth. I mean, that wasn't the most smooth, but you get the idea. Another thing that I want to address are ways to get your helicopter more maneuverable. So when we want to make sharp turns, obviously we want to use rudder. We want to use a rudder a lot. See, that kicks the rear end around. But in order to do really sharp turns, you want to come in here and increase your collective. Pull it back. Increase it. Pull it back. Increase it. See how when we use our collective in conjunction, we can really rip the nose around. So when you're doing maneuvers or you're dodging fire, you can come in here and really rip things around. See? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of let you know what I'm doing with the collective, because that's one of the most important things to get your brain wrapped about when and what. So here we go. Full collective. Off collective. Full collective. Off collective. See, that kind of allows you to make these hairpin turns. More collective, off collective, more collective, off collective, and come down here and make another full on collective, off collective, on collective, off collective. Obviously we're using rudder with that, but the biggest thing, like I say, that you're going to have issues with is getting your head around the collective. On collective, off collective. And you can see that up in the upper left, how much collective I'm using in these turns. And I think you'll be amazed how much. On collective, off collective. Oop, yeah, see, I got a little too much. Now rudder's coming back around. But yeah, I mean, when you get used to how much collective you need to use, you can really whip this bad boy around, or any helicopter. I'll show you some others here in just a moment. But the Huey is a pretty agile helicopter. Probably not as agile as the MI8, but it's a great beginner copter in a good way to introduce you. So yeah, like just be thinking about that when you're coming in for landings. Pull off the collective, nose up, slow down. I'm in the green with my rotor speed, coming in. Nice. Little touchdown. Yeah. Alright. Now we'll hop into one of the others real quick.